Rikers Island Correctional Facility is the most infamous jail in New York. The complex is actually 8 individual jails, spread over 400 acres. In 1991, the inmate population swelled to nearly 22,000. By 2026, it will be empty.
New York City will close the Rikers Island jail facility. It will take many years. It will take many tough decisions along the way, but it will happen.
In smaller, safer, fairer New York City's plan to close Rikers Island, the de Blasio administration outlined a plan to replace the jail complex with what they describe as a modern and humane borough-based jail system. It's a noble goal, but not a new idea.
The Koch administration tried it 40 years ago. I was part of that effort, and it didn't work out for a variety of reasons.
And he would know. Ken Ricci is founding principal at the preeminent architecture and planning firm specializing in progressive justice facilities. He was elevated to the Fellow of the American Institute of Architects in recognition of his philosophy of humane design for detention centers. His 4-decade-long career was sparked by his senior thesis project at the Pratt Institute.
And the topic was design of a youth detention center on Rikers Island. In the 60s, we believed that architecture should have a social dimension. In those days, the reformers were in the minority.
Yeah.
But now the reformers are front and center. Now there's a growing recognition that jails are obsolete. There are many jurisdictions throughout the country that have embraced what we're calling normative design, normal design, humane design, that have embraced design without using steel bars, that have embraced air conditioning their buildings, that have embraced more modern ways of doing things.
It's weird to hear you say have embraced air conditioning as we sit here in 2020.
Hollywood uses the old thing with the cells going up 6 levels and row after rank after rank, razor wire outside and so forth. So that's Hollywood has been using that, and that's what the image of the public has. So when I said before that jails are obsolete, the old idea of a jail, lock them up, throw away the key, etc., that's what's obsolete. The new idea of a jail is that it's a community benefit.
So I'm here speaking on behalf of No New Jails NYC.
But is it truly a community benefit if the community says no?
This coalition is calling for the immediate closure of Rikers Island.
No new jails! No new jails!
Formed in 2018, No New Jails NYC is a collective of grassroots activists dedicated to shutting down Rikers Island and redirecting budgets for new jails to community-based resources supporting permanent decarceration.
This land use proposal to build the tallest skyscraper jails in the world would literally cement a future of incarceration for New York City. Rikers itself was opened as a reform, and there is no reason to believe that this latest attempt to build a humane cage will turn out differently than each other time it has failed. We already know that modern jails and residential neighborhoods are also torture chambers. Look at MDC without heat in the winter. Look at the Brooklyn Detention Center. Look at the Tombs. The entire system has got to go, but this jail expansion plan would only entrench it.
The positive language that's used to describe the proposed borough-based jails, like modern design, natural light, fresh air, all that, could have been taken from 19th century penitentiary reformers. And it's similar to how Rikers, which to be clear should be closed as soon as possible, would have been spoken of when it was new.
That $10 billion in proposed spending must be invested back into communities and neighborhood infrastructure. The communities themselves must decide where funds are needed most. We are compelled to write in solidarity with the No New Jails NYC coalition in opposition to the mayor's borough-based jail expansion plan. Listen to New Yorkers. We want schools, free clinics, safer, affordable housing to address our concerns of harm within communities, not jails, not police.
In January of 2020, No New Jail sent a letter to firms who'd expressed interest in designing the proposed new borough-based jails. urging them to rethink their participation. It read in part, "Sound ethical environmental design and construction calls for closing Rikers without building new jails, because jails are tools of racist violence."
I don't think most people think of people who, design cages as being people that are trying to be empathetic about that process, right?
Have you ever been called a person who designs cages? Has that ever been a charge level that is?
Right here in a letter from No New Jails.
Yeah.
Saying don't be part of this process.
There'll be no cages in these new buildings.
Right.
The Justice Committee of the New York chapter of the American Institute of Architects, licensed professionals who collectively represent 159 years of experience designing justice architecture. So members should employ their professional knowledge and skill to design buildings and spaces that will enhance and facilitate human dignity and the health, safety, and welfare of the individual and the public. So that's a broad mandate from the organization, but I wonder how that resonates with each of you in the room, knowing the focus of the work that you're endeavoring on.
I don't see any conflict at all with the AIA's statement in their ethics guidelines. Everything that we do when we design these facilities is to try to improve conditions of confinement and outcomes. So that's completely consistent with that statement.
There was always someone saying, it's just the building. It's not the building's fault. Why do we have to close Rikers down? If we need reform and things are bad, start with the people. The building didn't hurt anyone, but are they right?
A good building will not turn a quote-unquote bad person into a good person. Mm-hmm. But a bad building will make everybody worse.
The way we design jails now is basically under a mini jail concept. What you do is you try to create a small group of cells where services are provided directly from their facility. They have direct supervision. There's a relationship between the staff and the inmates. One person can supervise 48, 64 people within a unit. And that has a great rapport between being able to sort of relate to the people there, and it also significantly enhances sort of the community base.
While these architects design the best buildings they can, there is a vocal contingent in their profession raising the question of if they should.
It might be obvious by now, but there's no healing here, no attempt to address the root causes of crime in society or of disorder within prisons. This is not designed for everyone. Design seems only to have enhanced punishment and suffering in this case.
San Francisco-based architect Raphael Sperry is at the head of a movement calling on the AIA to amend the Code of Ethics with regard to the way jails and prisons are built.
Architects, Designers, and Planners for Social Responsibility, the organization I lead, has spent over 2 years petitioning AIA to strengthen their human rights standard by barring AIA members from intentionally violating human rights. But AIA has not yet implemented our proposal, in part because of opposition from the AIA New York City chapter.
I've disagreed with Raphael and ADPSR the whole time that they've been trying to get people to sign boycotts and that type of thing. We have a responsibility to improve health, safety, and welfare in any way that we can in every building type.
I don't think people give architects enough credit for what we do, because we're problem solvers in the kinds of critical design thinking that we do that affects human behavior.
So there is a very vocal contingent of folks who say, sure, it's possible to build a jail, you can do it, but should you do it?
These people make a good point, is that we have to think of the issue in a systemic way. And building is an artifact. It should be effective, it should be beautiful, but it also should be the result of the deliberations around that system.
The vast majority of people in the United States are justice system involved. They are either arrested at some point in their life or detained, or they have a family member who is.
In thinking about a jail or a courthouse or a police station even, the people who are the justice system involved are not at the table. They're not represented at all. And in many ways, it's a huge responsibility for architects and planners to speak for them and to represent their best interests.
Buildings such as this do make an impact, and if you do want to make a difference professionally, this is a challenge. It's a challenge that's going to be there for many a year.
Whether we design our way out of bad buildings or demand no new jails, it's in our collective best interest to center the humanity of every criminal justice involved New Yorker.